I'm Regal Timbrano, the Executive Director of the International Student Scholar Services. Well, thank you so much for coming today and supporting our wonderful Hannah Hayman. So Hannah is a Penn World Scholar, and a Penn World Scholar is, it's similar to the Benjamin Franklin, but it's very unique because they don't apply for it. Once you're a first-year student here at Penn, when Hannah was a freshman in 2022, the university will select the top of the notch incoming first-year students. And so they don't apply, they were surprised, and we select the best of the best in terms of potential leadership credentials, scholarship, scholarly achievements, and also many other wonderful traits that made Hannah one of the selected Penn World Scholars for that cohort of 2026. So for the senior project, each one of them will be presenting on what they want to present. And I think Hannah will be talking about her Penn journey. So with that, let's give a big hand to Hannah. Hannah. Yes.
So like Dr. Rudy said, I will be talking about my Penn journey today, what it was like when I was at home to now and being at Penn. So these are just like some of the areas. So who am I? I know most of you know me, most of you are my friends that came today, and I appreciate that. So thank you so much. And like I said, talking about my journey like to nursing and hopefully midwifery, my experiences, and also like what's next. So I'm from a country called Wales, which is in the UK. I'm from a small town called Abercynon. I think there's around like 6,000 people in my town. Some of you have visited, so great.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up with my parents and two older brothers. Being Welsh is a really big part of my identity. I know many people know that it's even a country. I know we have a lot of international students here, but unfortunately most of my American friends didn't know that Wales was even a country. I'm not saying that about anyone in particular in the room. But before, like, you knew me, or like today, did anybody hand up, like, raise your hands if you actually knew that Wales was a separate country in the UK before you met me? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So a lot of people think that it's in England or doesn't even know that it's a country. So being at Penn, kind of promoting that and showing like my Welsh is a really big part of my identity. I'm also a first generation low income student and highly aided. I'm the first person within my high school and within my area to get my bachelor's within American university. So that was a really big deal within my community. And just like some simple hobbies and interests. So like reading, playing board games. Me and my friends love playing Catan. We're very competitive with that. Exploring kittens, those kinds of things. Trying new restaurants, and also Zumba, which I do every week. So yeah, these are just a plug about Wales, if I'm being honest. So these are just some things about it that I kind of wanted to talk about you guys, because it's a big part of my culture. So the national flower is a daffodil. This is like a typical rugby shirt that we wear during St. David's Day. So it's like St. Patrick's Day, but the Welsh version, I guess. Sheep, there are actually factual, there's more sheep than people in Wales. So I just wanted to show that. Love spoon. So this is a tradition that's been going on for I don't even know how long, that people like gift each other. It's very common to give people within Wales. Welsh cakes, which is a certain treat that we have honestly all year round. They're very delicious and I do miss them. And then that is the Welsh flag. I know I'm biased, but I do generally think it's the best flag because we have a dragon on it. So yeah, so I'm a senior nursing student at the School of Nursing. These are just some pictures of me when I first got my scrubs, which I'm wearing today. So during like my freshman year, so before I started clinicals, I just wanted to show this because I'm 19 in this picture. I'm now about to turn 22. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of look back and see, my excitement and my curiosity to start clinicals. Because this is in my freshman year and we don't start until our sophomore spring. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. So some leadership roles that I have taken while at Penn. So as Dr. Head mentioned, I'm the Penn World Scholars Program Assistant, and I work closely with Dr. Head, Kelly, and Mike. You might see Mike later on when he starts like taking pictures. I've been in this position since my junior year, so it's been 2 years now. And I hope to continue the sort of engagement with ISSS and Penn World Scholars even when I graduate. My main roles are data management and reporting, event planning and research, providing like on-site support for Penn World Scholars events and also ISS events if needed. And this is just just to show I'm part of the Penn World Scholars program, which Dr. Rudy also mentioned. This is a group picture of my class when we went to DC for the sophomore year event. Ali, are you also in this picture, Ali?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Ali is also there, and also I had to highlight my face, obviously, because I am there. And this was actually during Mike took this picture when we have our annual banquet. So it's kind of like a little bit of a graduation ceremony for Penn World Scholars that we have in April. And I saw that he was taking pictures, and I genuinely think that this just summarized me and Penn World Scholars. So I had that picture. Some other leadership roles and like clubs that I've been a part of. So I'm a part of this club called KESM. I started, I believe it was my sophomore spring, and then was more involved my junior year. And it's basically a program that's run by students at Penn. And it helps children within like the Philly area whose lives have been affected by cancer. And then all year round, we do like fundraising and raising money so that the kids can go to summer camp for free, basically. And then also some volunteering opportunities that I've been able to do. I volunteered, surprisingly, at all the hospitals. So that, which is the Hospital of University of Pennsylvania, the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania Hospital, which is more in Center City. And then I also was able to volunteer at Penn Alexander School my sophomore year because of the class that I took. So overall, being involved with patients and children. And now I kind of go into the nitty-gritty part of my topic, which is basically my journey from, nursing and then eventually midwifery. So it's my parents. So before high school, so my parents are both foster carers. I know I talk about this kind of all the time. It's a very big part of my life. And they've been fostering since I was 9 years old. They mostly have mother and baby foster placement. So that basically means the mother is normally in like the foster care system, and when she goes to the hospital, she comes and stays with my family for normally around about 6 months. And my parents kind of help with her development as a parent, and obviously transitioning then after leaving my parents' home. And because of that experience, I was exposed from a very young age to kind of healthcare professionals. So we had many visits from midwives, nurses, other healthcare professionals came to my home. And I was a very curious 9-year-old, and I'd be like, so where do babies come from? Like, why are you here? Why are you in my home? And all of them were amazing and answered all my questions that a potential 9-year-old would have. And from then on, I've kind of just been interested in healthcare, specifically nursing and midwifery, because of that exposure. So because of this, becoming a nurse is such a big part of my life, because of the values that those nurses that came to my home represented, like advocacy, autonomy, empathy that they showed to the mothers and children that were in my parents' care. So that kind of started everything off before I went to high school. And yeah, if it weren't for my parents, I probably wouldn't want to be a nurse today. So I had to show a picture of that. And then, so during high school, we're a very stressful time, as most of you would know. So within the UK, national education finishes when you're 16, and then from A levels, which is the qualifications you receive from 16 to 18. These are just some things that I did during that time. So I volunteered at Barnardo's, which is a children's charity. I did that for 2 years during my A levels. And anything that was related to healthcare or potentially either nursing or midwifery, I took part in those programs that I was asked to do by my head of sixth form, so kind of like the guidance counsellor within my school. And I also participated in the Melanie Fund program, where I basically engaged in like simulated patient scenarios to kind of strengthen my clinical assessment and teamwork skills. And then allied health professionals, where I developed like communication, patient education, leadership skills. And from this experience, I received like certificates of like completion of the program, and also a book bursary, which was from the Melanie Fund, which I was provided a midwifery textbook and also a book called Role in the Silence, I believe, Role Behind the Silence, which is about patients' personal experiences of labour and delivery within the UK system. So those are the kind of things that I did during high school, and also my A levels, which were one of the most stressful times of my life. So I'm glad they were over when I came to Penn. But yeah, these are just some of the activities that I did and that I really loved or shaped my experience. And then when I was in sixth form, which I experienced from 16 to 18, my head of sixth form sent an email out to everyone within my like class, which is around like 30, 40 people, I think, that graduated. And I was the only one to sign up to this program. Originally, I had no intention of applying to the States, going to the US for university. I was either going to stay in Wales or England, but this program came around and I saw that you had in the summer of 2021, I believe. It was all expensive paid trip to go to the States, and I was like, sign me up for that. I want to be able to do that. So I applied and I got in, and throughout the 2 years then of my A levels, they really, really sold US universities to me. And I fell in love with Penn. This is just a statement that is about the Sutton Trust US program. That's kind of like from their website, kind of their roles and like what they do. And they basically help UK students apply to US institutions. And from that, I was able to attend a US college day, which was online. And I remember it being midnight, and I had just been on a call with a representative from Penn, and my brother came downstairs, and I was like, that's it, I'm going to Penn. Like, this is where I'm applying to, this is where I want to be. So if it wasn't for ultimately, the people who supported me throughout my A levels and then this interest program, I wouldn't be at Penn. And then eventually I applied to ED, and then I got here. So, and then this is a picture of me and my friend Em when we got one of our the flu vaccine. I believe it was our sophomore year,
Yeah.
I think. So I had to plug that in, and we were also in our scrubs. So before everyone else started to come to campus in August, I was a part of the pre-first year program. So that's a program that you don't apply to, and they kind of reach out to you about being in the program. And it's basically you go to campus around July. You're here for about a month before everybody starts coming during NSO, so you can like get used to, where the nursing building is, where the dining hall is, kind of getting situated to being in a different, country before all the chaos comes and everyone is suddenly on campus. So I also was able to take some classes. I believe I took like a writing seminar class and anatomy, kind of like a brief introduction of what my life would be like freshman year, and I received a credit a month before everybody else came to campus. So it was a really great opportunity, and I met some of my friends that I'm still friends with today through that program. I also wanted to talk about some things that not many Penn students are willing to talk about, but it's kind of like Failure at Penn, which is an event that my amazing friend Austin is a part of with the organization Signal. And I wanted to talk about my experience with pharmacology, which was my sophomore spring, I believe, yeah. And we had about 3 tests or whatever, and I was not doing very well with taking the test. I would be with my friend Cynthia until 2 a.m. in Huntsman, writing all the, the drugs and stuff all on the whiteboard in Huntsman. And I was like, I got this. And then when it came around to the test, I don't know what would happen, but I didn't get very good grades from the first 2 tests, and I was really panicking. I thought that within nursing, if you fail a class, you have to retake it the next year, just the way that the schedule works out. And I didn't know if I failed pharmacology, I wouldn't graduate with all my friends. I didn't know if my financial aid would cover it. So it was a very stressful time. And then I was like, am I going to be a good enough nurse? Is this, actually the path for me? And I was really panicking about everything. And then I went to my first clinical, my women's health clinical, which was my sophomore spring. And I saw my first birth, I saw my first C-section, and I was like, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a midwife. This is where I'm meant to be. So even though I was really stressed about everything with academics related to pharmacology, because I really struggled with it, as soon as I went into my clinical, I was like, I'm going to try my best and I'm going to make sure that I pass this class. And I did, because I'm here now. So it all worked out in the end. But I just wanted to mention that because I know not many people as Penn students.
Is it only one class in pharmacology or
Pharmacology? Yeah, we take it our
one class only though?
Yeah, it's one class. We have lab and like lecture.
And that's it, right? It's not more very long. This one.
Just one pharmacology class, yeah. So yeah, as nursing students, our sophomore year is very stressful because we have anatomy in the fall and then pharmacology in the spring. So it was a very tense time, but I'm so glad that I had my friends and that support. And it made me think of the event failure at Penn, and I wanted to plug that as well because it does make you think about it as, Penn students. We don't really talk about it as much, but I wanted to include it in this presentation because even though, I struggled during that time and, the effort that I was putting in, it wasn't really showing with my grades and stuff in pharmacology, that everything works out. And, I realized when I went into my clinical that this is what I want to do, and I put that extra effort. So and then these are just some of the sectors that I took that are all surrounding children. Surprise, surprise. I love, being around kids and working with kids. But children's literature and learning from children. And from learning from children class, I was able to volunteer at Penn Alexander School, which was really cool. And also at Penn, I started learning Spanish. This wasn't an opportunity that I had while I was in school. We had to take Welsh in school, which not the best at speaking Welsh anymore because I don't practice it that much, but it was only Welsh and French. And I wanted to learn Spanish because I have, really close connections to Spain. My family would always go there every year, and I really wanted to start learning that language. So it was the first time that I studied Spanish was at Penn. And I tried to continue speaking Spanish with my friends. My friend Margot is fluent in Spanish. And, she tries sometimes to speak Spanish with her family and stuff, and I try my best to understand. Do I understand everything? No, but I still keep trying. And Duolingo is also always there, so I do try to maintain that. I'm on like a 700 something streak, so we're going strong. Yeah, and I wanted the skills that I learned with taking Spanish class at Penn, I wanted to utilize in my future career as well, because working with maybe low income and immigrant families and stuff, these skills are really useful to have, because when I'm talking with patients and stuff, I don't want them to be impacted because someone is not able to speak with them. So I still try to maintain those skills so that when I'm working both as a nurse and a midwife, I can utilize those skills in practice. So I just wanted to plug the Penn nursing values: integrity, social justice, impact, innovation, inclusion, and respect. I'm really passionate about women's health and reproductive health. Because I want to eventually become a labour and delivery nurse and then a midwife, so obviously, that makes sense. But I just wanted to include this in here because I aim to achieve and maintain these values while I'm in practice, whether it's nursing, whether it's midwife, whether I'm in the US, whether I'm in the UK. So I just also wanted to include that as well, because I witness, the impact of how like a little help, a little communication can go a long way. So yeah, just wanted to and then this is just my community at Penn. So these are all my friends. These are people. I was part of the Penn Madrid program. So these are the pictures of everyone when I went to Madrid my sophomore summer, and these are some of the professors that we had. So yeah, this is just my community, because without them, I probably wouldn't still be at Penn. I'd probably be going home and be like, I'm so homesick, I need to go home. So yeah, so I just wanted to show all these amazing people. And just some of my experiences. So over the summer, I normally go home every summer just to spend time with my family. But this past summer my junior year, I worked as like a home health aide with this company called QK, which is a really popular like agency within Wales, and especially in South Wales around where I live. Just some clinicals that I've done. So I've mentioned did clinical with women and infants, med-surg. There's a lot of opportunities that you have when choosing clinicals within med-surg, and I was on oncology and then a GI floor. I was not recommend GI to anyone. It was an experience to say the least, and that's all I say. But I don't think I'll be going back when I start applying for jobs. I also was able, like one time, to go to a nursing home, psychiatry, pediatrics. I was at the Children's Hospital. That's really close to campus, community. I was at HMS School, which is a school for children who have cerebral palsy, so that was a really interesting experience. And then currently right now, so my leadership clinicals, I'm do both. So the operating room, which is the OR, and then the PACU, which is the post-anesthesia care unit. So I'll switch between those as the semester goes on. Right now I'm currently in the PACU, and then in 2 weeks, then I'll be in the OR. I also wanted to talk about my favourite class that I've ever taken at Penn, which is a class with Dr. Diane Spat. It's a breastfeeding case study. And I also am currently taking a nursing research class right now and I'm hoping to continue working with Dr. Spatz with breastfeeding and doing research with breastfeeding, because I learned so much within that class. I hope to become certified as a lactation consultant as time goes on. I'm going to be a nurse first and then, take some time before I go back to school, but hope to become certified as a lactation consultant, because I think the information that they give to breastfeeding parents and stuff is amazing, and without that support, a lot of people do struggle with breastfeeding. So I hope to continue like research with Dr. Spatz this semester and maybe even beyond, who knows. And then I also studied abroad with the Penn Madrid program because of the Spanish classes that I was able to take. So I spent 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks in Spain my sophomore summer, and it was amazing. I traveled to so many different places in Spain. I met so many amazing people, and they're still a really big part of my life today. So those are just some of my experiences. And then what's next? So a little bit of change from what I originally thought freshman year. I thought freshman year everything was going to be hunky-dory and I would be living in New York. That is not realistic. So after my undergraduate graduation, I plan to return home for a little bit, for at least 1 to 2 years, to work for the NHS as a registered nurse, just to kind of see like both sides of things, because I've been exposed to education, what the hospital system is like here. So I'd like to see what it's like back home in the NHS, because I've been a patient, quote unquote, patient or whatever within the NHS. I'd like to see what the other side looks like and kind of like bring those experiences into it. And then after working for the NHS, after 1 to 2 years, I submatriculated into the Penn Nurse Midwifery program, and I was accepted last December. So I plan to return to Penn maybe 2027, 2028 as a graduate student of that program. And then after grad school, I hope to work in the US as a midwife, because my ultimate goal is to stay within the US. While my parents may not be happy about that, that's the plan. And then while working as a midwife, like I mentioned, I hope to become certified as a lactation consultant, and then I'll utilize those skills to help breastfeeding parents in practice, because that's a passion of mine that I didn't realize until last semester. So as I mentioned, things continuously change, continually need to grow. So that's definitely something that I do hope to do. And these are just some professional and personal goals that I wanted to put in. So there's a scholarship related to the nurse midwifery program that you can apply for to have your tuition and the stipend, and it's called the Lauder Scholarship. And with that, if you receive the scholarship, you have to work with like underserved communities, and that's been something that I've been interested in even before there was a possibility to apply for that scholarship. So a professional goal would be to work with an underserved community, whether it's Philly, New York, wherever it may take me within the States, including low income and immigrant populations. And then personal goals is to continue my Spanish education and incorporate it into practice. Hopefully I can continue to take Spanish classes while I'm in grad school, because even though I'm doing Duolingo every day, I would like to actually, talk to real people. So that would also be great. That's basically kind of my plan. We'll see how everything goes, but this is ultimately kind of what I see for my future in the next 2 to 3 years. So thanks, guys. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
You have to ask her questions, folks. She did a great presentation, right?
Can I start a simple question? What does the NHS stands for?
National Health.
Yeah, National
It's in the
Health,
UK.
It's basically what the free healthcare
I
system.
have a very good experience with NHS. We went to London with Nina.
Yeah, no, it's a great service, especially when it's free. So that's also a good thing too. Yeah, Cynthia?
So you say you go home every summer. Besides the Penn Madrid program, what do you do at home?
What I do at home. So my freshman summer, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I didn't do anything. Because before that, I didn't even have a summer, because I was either doing volunteering or working and things like that. So my freshman summer, I went on holidays and I relaxed. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really do much my freshman summer. My sophomore summer, I did do the Penn Madrid program, and then when I came home, I did work and spend time with my family. So most summers it's mostly just to go home and spend time with family and friends, because I don't get to really see them otherwise in winter break. And also it's great to see my friends, because we're all either in university or working full time. We all have different lives. One of my friends, she's currently a med student right now, so it's great to talk with her about the struggles of anatomy and pharmacology, because she also feels that. So and then my junior summer, then I worked with QK.
Do you see yourself potentially continuing in your parents' footsteps in the foster care system?
It's a great, one of the nurses actually that I was with at leadership clinical yesterday asked me this question because we were talking about fostering. I don't didn't like see myself immediately doing that straight after graduation because I'm young. I want to be able to like travel. I want to be able to like there's a lot of things that I want to complete first before I even think that that's a possibility. But maybe when I don't know, I'm potentially burnt out or I want to break from working in the hospital setting, it's definitely it's definitely not a no, but I think it would definitely be maybe when I'm older and I've like kind of like hit those personal and professional goals first before I decide to think maybe being a foster parent is an option.
I have two questions. Is the foster care industry like really big back home for you? And the second question is, I kind of missed the snippet on like phasing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious
Yeah.
to see the pay you at Penn.
Yeah. I guess that depends who you ask with the foster system. For me, yes, it's definitely a big thing because I've grown up with it nearly my whole life. But if you probably ask the average person, probably no, because not many people get exposure to it because there's definitely I can speak within my community, there's not that many foster carers that I know about. But definitely it's a big part of my life and what I've seen because of my parents' role. But I would say as a whole, it might not potentially be a big thing because not many people are exposed to that or like know, but like they definitely know it's there, but they don't kind of have exposure to it directly like I have. So I think it depends who you ask.
Yeah, I was sort of asking because I think I'd never heard of it or like a lactation consultant or like the breastfeeding case study classes. I thought that would be like a pretty helpful thing for like parents who are going into like getting their. So do you think those are things that should be expanded or like should be more available for people, or is it like a
Like in the like fostering system, you mean? Or I mean as in working as like a nurse who went like in the hospital?
like is it a system which you think could benefit the society as a whole and should be like expanded, or is it like
I definitely think so, yes, because there's so many benefits that I didn't even know. Like this stem cell breast. How many people knew that? I did not know that when I went to it. And I think that's crazy that our bodies can like make that. So I definitely think that it should definitely be expanded. And I know there is a difference between the UK and the US. The US is doing better right now than the UK, but it's okay because when I go home, I will make it better. So it's okay. But I do definitely think it should be expanded, not just within the UK or the US. Obviously, there's certain cultural differences, and in different countries, they do have higher breastfeeding rates than others, just like culturally wise, which is a topic that we discuss within the class. But I think personally, for me, the exposure that I had to it, I was like, this is something definitely that I want to be able to help people because like for fostering, for example, there's, obviously my parents only do mothers and babies. Those, even though the mothers might not necessarily want to breastfeed, their bodies still going to be able to produce milk. And if they're teenagers and they've never even heard about breastfeeding before, their body could do that. Who's the kind of person that's giving them that information? If the nurse or midwife who can, or even in the hospital, if there's not a lactation consultant involved within their care, how are they going to know? So I think it is definitely something that needs to be promoted and needs to be more talked about. Because if there isn't that information, it isn't that guidance by lactation consultants or people who are certified in other healthcare professions, then people are just not going to know. And they're ultimately going to struggle with something that they may really be passionate, they want to be doing. Like I have a friend who back home had a baby, is breastfeeding, and when I was taking my breastfeeding class, she was like, what does this mean? Can you tell me about this? And I'm like, I'm not certified, please go to a lactation consultant. But also I was learning things along the way, same as she was as well. So I definitely think it should be something that is more promoted, and I am passionate about it. So I hope to continue to learn more and hopefully get certified to kind of like bring that education and knowledge to people who might not know anything about it. And even if they didn't know about it, what if then when I talk to them and give them that education or that information, they might be like, oh, this is something that I would want to do. So it's kind of about that like choice as well that I want and like informed decisions that I want people to be able to make, both, here if I'm working here or at home. So
Could you fail
You touched on this briefly in the last answer. I'm curious, like, what the big differences that you see in being a healthcare professional here or like working in healthcare in America as opposed to back home. Because I know you mentioned you also have a friend back home studying medicine. So I was wondering any general, specific, any differences?
Yeah, so I do know because I applied to UK university back home before I even knew that the US was a possibility. And so I looked at some like kind of the courses and stuff as not, I don't necessarily know for like a doctor, but for being a nurse or a midwife. They do, it's very I don't want this to sound mean. It's very tunnel vision that I have personally found within the UK system is that you don't take any sectors, you don't take any language requirements or anything like that. And depending on the person, that might be more beneficial to them. What I've noticed when I talk about it with my friend, she's only doing medical stuff, which like obviously is important, but she doesn't. I found that like talking to other people and like seeing the UK system, not many people are exposed to different things that I feel like I have experience with coming to the US. Like if I was back home, I'd constantly be in the hospital because we have to complete more clinical hours in the UK than the US. So there's both pros and cons. But I feel here I've been able to do more things that I didn't realize that I would be passionate about until I actually took the class or I took the breastfeeding class or I was able to go to Penn like Madrid through Penn and things like that. So there's definitely different things with sort of the education system. As in working within the health because I've only really worked here. I mean, I was a home health aide and stuff, but that was at people's homes. It wasn't necessarily in the hospital. But I know the care that I have received within the NHS has been absolutely amazing. So, as in the respect of like actually working for the NHS, I'm not really sure about because my friend who is also in healthcare hasn't graduated yet. So she's still like me doing clinicals, doing placements and stuff like that. There is definitely differences. That's why I kind of want to be exposed to both of like both working in the US and the UK and then come to that decision of what I think would be best for me and kind of my personal and professional goals. But the education system is definitely different. I feel like the UK is more tunnel vision than the US. Like you are able to explore more within the US. I hope if my friends back home see this, they don't feel hurt by that. But that's just my personal opinion about it and what I've like talked about with my friends and like when I was applying.
You talk a lot in your presentation about like going to new places that you have no real familiarity with, and then going and living there. Like you were the first person from your high school to come to go to college in the US. Once you were here, then you went back to go study abroad in Madrid. Is that something that comes naturally to you, or if it is something that's harder? Like, how did you kind of get yourself to push yourself out of your comfort zone for things you were really excited about, but I feel like is a really difficult thing to do?
That's such an excellent question, Brendan. You really put me on the spot here. When I initially applied for the Citrus program and stuff, I didn't even think about studying to the US, so it wasn't really in my mind. But I just think the support that I had, I think if I didn't have the support that I had from my parents, from my friends, both in the UK and here, I don't think I would have necessarily the courage to be able to like pursue those kind of things. And I'm also a person that I love trying new things. And like if I went I mean, it wouldn't have happened, but if I went to Madrid and I absolutely hated it, I was like, well, it's an experience. I don't have to go back to Madrid. That was definitely not the case. But things like that. And I always thought to myself, well, I have such a strong community at home. If I didn't like being at Penn or if it wasn't working out for me, if I felt that it wasn't best for me, there was always an opportunity for me to go home. Because of that, I don't know, I always had that there for me as support. As in like myself personally, why like I would like did those things and stuff. That's a really great question. I think being grown up in a small town, there's nothing wrong with growing up in a small town. I felt kind of when I was in high school and stuff, I kind of felt like I was in a little bit of a bubble. And I kind of wanted to experience new things. And if I didn't move to a different country, whether that was England or the US, depending on where I went to university, I don't think I would have gone out of that bubble. And I know some people that have stayed at home and, went to college at home, and that's great because, they love their lives, they're thriving. But for me personally, I had different goals for where I saw my future, and I wanted to have different experiences and meet new people and just kind of be exposed to like different things that I wouldn't have been able to achieve if I didn't study abroad, both in the US and in Madrid. So does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now that you've had all of these new experiences and gotten so many passions and hobbies, how do you think you're going to experience your hometown differently?
It's definitely interesting, even when I go home in the summer, because I don't know, I feel like I have two different lives now. I have my life when I'm in the US, I have my life when I'm in the UK, and they definitely combine and they cross over. But when I go back to my hometown, it's, you know, it's the same place, it's the same things that I did in high school. And don't get me wrong, I definitely took things for granted, like trees, for example. Here it's a concrete jungle. When I go back home, it's like, oh my God, there's mountains, there's trees. I live right next to a forest. I can do all these different things. And I always talk about this with my parents, that there's a certain road called the 8470 that we drive down, which is like really close to my house. And whenever I get from the airport and stuff, I see that road. I'm like, but it is definitely, it's so difficult to put into words to describe how it feels when I come home, because I'm so appreciative to see all my friends and my family and stuff. But I think I've grown in different ways to kind of than I was when I was, you know, 18 or in high school. That I think living long term within my town, I wouldn't want it to be an option for myself because of the experiences that I've had. It's really difficult to put in like words when I come home, because I love it so much and I appreciate it so much that I have that community. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to be where everyone is at Penn. I want to see all my friends here. So I think the biggest thing about it is kind of like trying to find that balance of, you know, I love being home and I appreciate being home, but I also want to do other things and explore other things that's not really available within, you know, my small town and my community, and within the sort of like education system that was there. So.
Wait, follow-up question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think you'll be able to explore your home community in a different way than you would have been able to, like with the experiences you've had here?
Yes. Me and Margot were actually talking about this the other day. Public transport, when I was in school and when I was in high school, because we learned to drive when we were around 17, and I passed my test in like 2022, something like that. So I've only driven as like a learner driver. I didn't drive after I passed my test because I was like coming to Penn. But I didn't realize the possibility of public transport until I came to Penn. Don't get me wrong, I am very directionally challenged and I don't really know which bus goes where, and I still need a lot of help with that. But I realized when I go home that I don't have to go with my parents. Like my parents don't have to drive me. Like I can go on public transport, bring my book with me, and go to a park or something that I've not necessarily like been to before, and things like that. It sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, but the access of public transport as well, which I also took for granted, because in Philly it's great, but I know in certain places in the US it's like non-existent, the public transport. So when I go back home, it's great to be like that opportunity is there for me and I can explore that, and not just be, I don't know, going to the same cinema that you know, me and my friends used to go in high school, I still love going to the pub, so I still do that when I go home. But things like that, it's sort of changed because like I enjoy certain, like double cooked pork belly, which you guys all know that I love. I'm still trying to find a restaurant back home that I can go to and be like, you know, share that with my family, share that with my friends, because I've had it here and I love it. It's one of my favorite foods now. So like things like that, kind of thinking about the experiences that I've learned from here and what I've been exposed to, bringing that back home and kind of exposing it to, you know, my family, my friends, showing like, this is something new that I love. Maybe you'll love it, maybe you'll hate it. Who knows? But please try it. Things like that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else? So Hannah, we have 3 minutes. So my question will be, if you will talk to Hannah like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
what would you have told yourself differently? Now that you know, what will you tell the first year 19-year-old person?
I would probably say to her that you don't have to be perfect. Like, it's being at Penn is already, you know, very competitive to get into Penn and get into like, you know, an Ivy League school. I think growing up, I was kind of a child that thrived academically. I loved school. I loved learning. But I feel like slowly when I started to get into high school, it was always chasing that, you know, A, things like that. And God forbid, if I got a B plus, I would like break down. Oh my God, like I'm not, like my future is just going to be cancelled. I'm not going to be able to do anything. So I think when that happened with pharmacology and kind of being like, yeah, I am struggling and yet it's not going as perfect the way that I would like it to be. But it all worked out in the end because I had that, I don't know, I put that in that extra effort and kind of that, I don't know, that determination. I feel like I think I would say to my like past self, no matter what age, it's okay not to be perfect and you don't have to try to strive to these standards that whether you've made them for yourselves or like other people maybe do it differently than you, that it's okay, like you're on your own path, you're on your own journey. It's okay to kind of like grow at your own pace. Yeah.
Thank you. So with that, we thank you for coming. You started it wonderfully for the rest of the 15 people. So thank you for supporting.
Thanks so much for
Hannah.
coming, guys. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.